Hello everyone, welcome to the live session again. This is the episode 4 of Live with Sirus Migration. My name is Suriappa, I'm a registered migration agent, and I've got Mr. Willem Oostak right next to me to my right, and migration lawyer Mr. Willem Yossi Witkowski to my left. Today we decided to do it slightly different to the other live sessions. So we thought, without us talking too much information, we would like you to answer as many questions within this half an hour slot that we allocate, so we could give you the answers that you've been looking for. Got few updates to update you. As I always tell you, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, or if you're not a fan in our Facebook channel, please do hit the like button and be a Facebook friend with us. Or if you're a YouTube person who's watching us through YouTube channels, please hit the subscribe button so you'll be notified each time we update a new visa change or a requirement, or every time we come online in a live session. Just a little reminder for our fans, sometimes we try to get through to all the questions that you may have and you come up with. Every now and then we see the clients who trust us, they leave their personal phone numbers, email addresses on the comment section, and we've been reminded a few times through our IT department, try not to leave your personal details. There's a lot of other people watch our videos. Thousands of people get through your comments, so it's advisable for you not to leave your personal details on the comment section. If you need to contact us, we've got all our contact details. You can write an email to admin@sirus.com.au, or you can contact us via the phone numbers we've given. You have the WhatsApp numbers as well. So in the meantime, if you have a question right now, please put the question down in the comment section, and we will endeavour to answer as many questions as we can within the time. So today we have some updates with South Australian migration. No, Tasmanian. Sorry, I've been talking too much. So Tasmanians released their occupation list. So that's one of the latest news, and Queensland's closed the 190 list for the time being. It'll be reopening. They'll be reopening the BSMQ 190 categories on April again, according to what they have advised. 491 small business operator category is still live, and it's very popular in Queensland at the moment. If you have any confusion, please remember the 491 small business owner category is not one of the 188 series business visas. The requirements are if you have full-time work rights in Australia, and if you have a skill assessment, and if you spend around $100,000 in capital purchasing a business, you'll be eligible to apply for this visa, and you'll be getting a 3-year visa, and after 3 years you'll be getting through to 191 permanent residency pathway. I think until we get some questions comes through, and also I've seen a good attention or increase with the employee nomination category as well. There's a lot of inquiries we're getting from employers about 482, 494, 186 categories. Employee nomination categories, I would like to remind, if you have a skill assessment with 3 years experience and IELTS 6 in each band, and if your occupation's in the medium to long term list, you do not need to go through the 482 or the 482 work category. You can go in 186 direct entry category, which brings you to permanent residency directly. 482 allows employers to have employees with skilled employees with at least 2 years work experience. So this work visa category has been really good, supporting Australian employers and businesses to find skilled employees where they can't fulfill within the region at this stage. So if you have any inquiries, please write the question down below in the comments, or be in touch with us. We'll explain you further, and if you have any specific employee related information that you would like to ask, be in touch and we will share more details with you. Tasmanian visa, the occupation list, shall we discuss a little bit about that?
Yep, I think the nomination process in Tasmania from January 29 will be focusing very specifically on the critical sectors, and specifically in regards to the recovery in terms of the COVID-19 pandemic, and those occupations in respect to medical or essential goods and service deliveries. They are high priority.
Yeah.
And I think that's sort of coming across
so
the other states as well. Okay.
They're pretty much going through the PSMOL again.
Yeah.
Would you have PSMOL that you can quickly run through, or the priority list that you can quickly run through?
I haven't got the priority list specifically here.
Yeah.
But the critical roles involve providing critical and specialist medical services, delivering medical supplies, potentially associated with COVID-19 response, general nursing, medical positions with the Tasmanian Health Service. So those are really the key critical sectors, also including critical infrastructure, telecommunications, engineering, mining, and supply chain logistics.
I think most of the states probably seeking similar sort of post-COVID recovery, economic recovery program and skills by looking at everyone's skill list as well. Mr. Yossi's been preparing yourself to discuss a little bit about South Australia. Or?
Yeah, there's not much more news except to say, thanks Sirus, to say that after our live session, shortly after that, I think it was the evening, last week, Thursday evening, the skills list came out for South Australia. So it's a very interesting skills list. It's quite a lot of skills, and the important thing to note is what I like about South Australia is that you can click on the necessary skill and it will tell you how much work experience is required in terms of that skill. So how much work experience South Australia wants you to have in terms of that skill. So have a look at if you go on to South Australia, just Google skilled migration South Australia, and then on their website, I think it's quite user friendly for you to have a look at. And then go on to the tab on the left hand side that says occupational list, and you can quickly check if your occupation is there and how much work experience you require.
If you need personalized support, be in touch, but we've got a lot of our viewers, fans and potential clients who are looking for further information and proper guidelines. So if you need any support or one-on-one information, please be in touch. So we will talk to you personally further about your pathways. So we've got one of the Facebook fans who's revisiting us, Sanjay Shah. Sanjay, welcome to our session. Thank you for your question. Sanjay's got a question about his plan to move to Canberra through, and he's got 95 points in 190 Sydney, from Sydney, developer programmer. I think it's a good category, 190 and 491.
You've got points to high points.
Yeah, I think we're not supposed to tell you whether to move there or not, but I think it'll be a good step that you're planning.
Yeah, I think 95 points anyway is good. Sydney, if you were in Sydney and you were to stay in Sydney now and not move to Canberra, and you had 90 points, that would be sufficient for the 190. So 95 points is more than enough, and especially for a state like, especially if you're going to Canberra.
Yeah. Do we have any questions from YouTube, or shall I? Yeah. Any question? IT professionals with 5 years of experience, any luck? Danish, thank you for your question. It's a quite broad question that you ask. Luck as in, are you onshore, offshore? Are you looking at employment category, study category, skill migration category? You're talking about ICT, so IT professionals got a good demand right now, and they're in GTI, they're in a lot of state 190, 491 lists, and also ICT sectors are in 482, 494, and also 186 categories. 5 years is very good. You might have permanent pathways if you have an employer who's willing to sponsor you, or if you have. I've actually spoken to a client this morning who's got unique IT skills, and he's a programmer, and over 3 years experience, currently working. So he's got good potential to obtain his permanent residency through 186 direct entry category. So the short answer, yes, good lot of luck, but we have to find out where we can fit you and what other information behind you. As I always say, contact us through via email or our comment sections. Or
can I just say something?
Sure.
So it also depends on what state. When we get these questions, sometimes it's very broad. And it just says IT professionals, 5 years experience. Yeah. It depends what state. So I don't know what state you're talking about, but let's just look at the state of Victoria.
Very good.
In the state of Victoria, one of the requirements is that you have to be living. So let's just talk about the 491 for Victoria. You have to be living in regional Victoria, already be working in regional Victoria for a minimum of 3 months of employment.
Yeah.
And then here's the important part: work in a highly skilled occupation in health, medical, research, life sciences, agri-food, or digital sectors. So Victoria hasn't got a skills list. They've got broad sectors. So IT professionals would fall into that. So that's really good, because they're not specific about which specific exactly which IT skill you need. The other thing, if you were applying in Victoria for a 190, then you're required to be living there and working there for 6 months. But I think what's important to note is for the 190, though, they don't mention anything to do with IT. For the 190 or any sector to do with IT, it's just health, it's medical research or life sciences. So that's the difference in Victoria. So for the 491, definitely all IT professions, it's a go. And then if you were looking at New South Wales again, if you're looking for New South Wales, they talk about, they're very specific in their list. So for the 190, they're talking about ICT business analyst, systems analyst, a developer programmer, a software engineer, an ICT security specialist, computer network and systems engineer. So they're very specific in terms of their skills for New South Wales. And then also IT professionals are also in demand in South Australia. So you gave me a broad question. I'm giving you a broad answer, and maybe it will help other people out there also.
Thank you very much, Jose. That's really helpful what you brought up with. We got another question from Joseph. This is actually good the way he asked the question. Will the partner skills also a selection criteria for critical skills? So I guess you're not a critical applicant, but you're saying your partner's got critical. In that case, my answer is you won't be falling into critical sector just by having the partner skills. Primary applicant skills need to be in the critical sector if you're targeting one of those regions or areas to get your visa through. But maybe your partner might have the option of applying as the primary applicant, you go as the dependent. So I think that'll be the best way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Another really good question from Harsimranjit Singh. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, but just wanted to come back. It's a 491 question. What if I bought a business worth more than $100,000 and run successfully for 6 months? Then please clarify me the scope of permanent residency. Is it sure that I will get PR? Is it up to seats availability?
So I think he's talking about 491 Queensland, obviously.
491 small business owner.
Yeah. So what's his name? Harish.
Harsimran.
Okay. I see you asked if it's sure that you'll get PR. So two things in life, as they say, is for certain death and taxes. PR is never one of those certain things. But let's just put it this way: if you bought the business for 100K and you ran the business for 6 months
successfully.
Successfully. They don't say you must run it at a profit or a loss, but it needs to be successful. It needs to be. It takes long to turn a business around, but it needs to be some type of effort. They need to show that there's been an effort by you. You need to prove that you've been running. You need accounting, financials and all that.
2 bases. If you're doing quarterly basis, or 6 bases if you were doing monthly basis, business activity statements. And
Absolutely.
the business has to be based in a regional area, which is pretty much, in a nutshell, I tell everyone, think about Gold Coast, Toowoomba and Sunshine Coast. Anything beyond this is regional, treated as regional for migration purposes for this specific visa. Actually, when I say Toowoomba, just past Ipswich, certain postcodes get involved for this category, small business owner.
So then you need your positive skills assessment. So it's not just buying a business. You need a positive skill assessment in the skill that you're in. And the nice thing about the 491 Queensland small business owners is that if you got 65 points, if you meet the bare minimum, you don't need to worry about having how many points you got. If you got 65 points and you're purchasing the business and you got your positive skills assessment and that, and it's in the regional area, then it will be fine. And then you need to, after that, once you get your 491, so your real question is PR certain? Once you get your 491, you have to run that business, and you need to live and work in a regional area.
Live and work is the most highlighted thing in that.
Live and work. You can't live somewhere else and then ride into the regional area where you work. It's live and work in a regional area. And then and you need to show that you're running that business for the 3-year period, and then you can apply for the 191. These are the conditions for the 191 visa. Is not yet out yet, but I can tell you some of the conditions is going to be that you would have to have lived, and then you can apply for PR. But some of the conditions is going to be that you would have had to prove that you've lived and that you've ran this business for 3 years in a regional area. And so they want to see that you meaningfully, you didn't just buy a business and
for the purpose of
a sham transaction for the purpose of trying to get the 191.
Please remember that.
And then it shouldn't be a problem. If your intentions are good and you want to live in a regional area and you want to run this business in a regional area and you do that for 3 years, it shouldn't be a problem.
And Josie, just to clarify, they have to work in the business. They can't run another job on the side with another,
Absolutely. Good point.
The whole purpose where BSMQ came up with concept is to create more regional jobs and have opportunities coming into the regional sector. So the business, you're trying to buy it for over 100,000, which is fine as long as the capital value has gone for over 100,000. So it cannot be the stock included in there. Capital has to be 100,000. So with the permanent and also one other thing I would like to clarify: there's no legislative requirement for you to have the business in the same skill assessment you have. So I'm not saying if you have a hairdressing skill and go and buy an IT company, but technically you can do it.
Yeah, and if you weigh it up, it's actually one of the easiest visas that leads to PR.
One of the easiest visas,
except for the money.
Yeah, except for the money.
It's really recommended that people really seriously look at this.
I think the amount of money is not unreasonable, the way the Queensland governments came up with it as well. And then also, as Yossi highlighted earlier, as long as you try your best to run this business within that 3 years, but more importantly, if you lived and worked in that business within that 3 years, 191 wouldn't do a big harm for you at all.
You should get it. You should get it.
So we don't have any 191 precedents as yet, but the permanent pathway, there shouldn't be a problem.
And I think it's important. I think what Willem said. This is such a good visa. And I think it's important what Willem said is that you need to work in the business and 35 hours, so work full time in the business. Okay, so you need to be working in the business, and it's a big purchase. It's 100,000. I suggest that if you're going to be spending that much money on the business, you come and speak to us. There's a lot more that goes. We just briefly skirting, some of the requirements. There's a lot more that goes into this. What you don't want to do is purchase a business of 100,000 and then transgress the immigration regulations or sections and then jeopardize PR. So I suggest if you're spending that type of money, come and see us, speak to us, and we will walk you through we will hold your hand from the point of when you are looking for the business, and we will hold your hand through that process to make sure that you're on the right path, right through to PR.
Purpose of the visa is to create more job opportunities and more business and economic transactions in regional Queensland. So as long as you comply with that, there shouldn't be any problem for you permanent residency. Like, it's not like back in the days where everyone had the 187 days. What did we used to call it? RSMS, Regional Sponsored Migration Scheme. 2012, 13, 14, it was very popular. So back in the days, people used to live in non-regional and then go and work in regional, come back. But this one, they expect you to stay, live in regional areas. So if you get into it, keep an eye out for it. So if you have any other questions, please be in touch. Let's move on to the next one. We got a question from Mr. Kevin Satiskumar. Due to the introduction of various regional incentives after 3 years, will there be a possibility to get 189 visa from Sydney having 90 points and being a software engineer?
So maybe he means a 190 visa from Sydney, because you get a 190. And 190 is a state-sponsored visa.
189 it can be anywhere.
Yeah, 189 is a federal visa. It can be anywhere.
Anywhere in Australia, or you can be offshore.
And right now, so let me just maybe answer both. So 189 right now is you would be software engineer is on the medium to long skills list. And so your skill is on the problem with the 189 is that they're looking, if you haven't got more than 100 points in, don't even bother. In fact, with the 189, people that are applying for 189s are not getting invitations right now. It's open, but they're not getting invitations right now on the 189. So I'd say you need a lot of points, probably 100 plus, and you might wait some time to get the invitation on the 189. So I wouldn't bank on a 189. Really with 90 points that you've got in Sydney, so that's New South Wales.
Well, 3 years.
I would look at a 190 visa. because 90 points is good enough for 190 for New South Wales. And so for software engineer,
software engineer, I mean, 3 years. If
it's
you
on the skills list also, yeah.
Yeah.
For
And
190.
if you worked in ICT or software engineer for 3 years, and if you work in the sector, 186 direct entry. I've seen most of the people that I've spoken to.
Sponsor visa 186.
Yeah, they don't want you to leave the job because they really do need your skills. Most of the companies, and there'll be a lot of opportunities in Australia for ICT sector, I guess. And then, yeah, if you have good talents and good skills, I think it'll be a good sector to stick into. But you don't have to only consider 189 or 190. Got a question about GTI updates. Shio Petra asking about any updates on waiting time for GTI invitations to apply. It has definitely taken a bit longer than usual at this stage. Not like the February, March, April last year.
About 4 or 5 months now?
Yeah, depends on the scale, 2, 3 months, 4 months, and certain times we experience some critical sector categories comes quicker. So I can't really comment because it's very random, but definitely taken longer. I can't tell. Yeah,
the reasons why.
Reason, 2 or 3 months maybe because there's a lot of applications.
I'm hopeful. This is only an opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, my personal opinion is not a legal opinion. So I think part of the reason why it's taken so long now, I think, is because twofold. I think because the popularity of the program grew, I think, and I think because every Tom, Dick and Harry who had a master's degree and had over 80% GPA was applying for the global talent visa, and I think that's kind of clogged the system. And I think now that as of the 20th of January, now that they've taken away the eligibility requirement of whereby you can't just rely solely on a master's with a GPA over 80%. You need to show before the master's, you need to show some outstanding achievements in that before you got your master's, and that in order to even be considered, and the ability to attract the income over the threshold before you can even be considered for GTI. I think that is going to, a lot of applicants that's applied who just had masters with a GPA over 80% are not going to be looked at, and I think that's going to slowly maybe free up the system a bit, free up the...
But then you'll see they have expanded the sectors, haven't they?
They have expanded the sectors, so that's another question. Yeah.
7 to 10 even.
So as it is now, I mean, we're looking at more than 4 months.
Yeah, I mean, experience is about 3 to 4 months for some of the sectors, and I guess after that...
But I'm hoping it's going to come down because it defeats the purpose of GTI, because that's exactly what they say. The purpose is fast track.
I guess because of this, there's been few changes to the selection criteria, and all of a sudden the number of the available seats or available positions gone triple. So that might have caused certain attention as well. Like the GTI was very quiet, and not many people knew about it till about the program got introduced towards the end of 2019, but it didn't get popular until first quarter of just after COVID. So all of a sudden we've got the triple allocation with the program as well. So that might have changed a lot of things, and maybe that's another reason why GTI program omitted all the bachelor's degree or the master's with higher points. So maybe they'll pick up the processing time soon. It's a very new program. Department's trying to do the right thing by all the employees create jobs, post-COVID economic recovery, all that sort of stuff, and also setting up this processing centers is not an easy task, especially considering these travel bans and COVID restrictions as well. So at the moment there must be a lot of applications, so the process has slowed down a bit. There's a question, I missed it earlier from Facebook, from Noni Avanchila. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name, Noni. She's got a question about a category on educational attainment category on the points table. If one graduated from Bachelor's of Science in Psychology in an institution outside of Australia, but recognized by Australia with a Section 3 recognition, may I use it in this category, and if I could, how many points will I get for it? Thank you in advance. Thank you for asking the question. It's a good question. Points wise, 15 points for the bachelor's degree.
Yep.
In terms of the position, I'll have to look it up. I can't remember. But
tricky, that one.
Yeah, in short, it's 15 points. If you have any further question about it, please send us a personal
email, and then we can respond
back.
Email.
Thank you.
It would be good to just to do a bit of research. Some of the questions we can answer straight out, some just requires a bit more technical research.
We've got a really good question. Willem's going to answer this one, I think. 4020, Section 47, Section 48, it all comes to our mind again.
Right.
Can I apply for visa if the application... sorry, it's just jumped out. Where is it? Can I apply for the visa if the applicant has overstay ban for 3 years completed?
Once you've done your the period of 3 years, then you can apply. If you meet all the eligibility requirements and if there's no other adverse findings on your file.
Can they be onshore, William, when they apply?
Yeah. Section 4, as well.
But it's a recommendation that you mention, that there has been a ban. So if you make an application, it's important that you perhaps, raise it. You look, I have a visa refused or overstayed my visa. These are the reasons why. Because coming up front, with that information makes it easier for a visa to be granted.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Willow. It was a good question from Manus Basnet. And we got another question from Facebook with Srizan TDK. If I study 1 year in Tasmania in any subject, will I get 491, and do I have to work in nominated occupation after going to 491 regional category? I think in Tasmania.
So it should be fine. Just go back to the question. Sorry.
If he studied 1 year in Tasmania, in any subject, he's saying if I study, will I get 491?
Yeah. So
sorry, this question jumps out.
Okay.
Do I have to work in the nominated occupation after getting the 491?
Yeah, so I think you'd have to work in the nominated occupation after getting the 491. I think with Tasmania you have to show some work experience for the 491. If I'm not mistaken, it's 3 months work experience. But yeah, I definitely think you have to work in the nominated occupation. But send me an email, send us an email, and what I'll do is I'll look it up further for you, and I can then liaise with you, with regard to that. I think that would be
before we go to YouTube, I'll...
sorry, and it depends on the occupation. So just send me all the details.
Narrow it down a bit so that way we can give you a personalized answer.
Do they have our email address?
Admin at sirus.com.au. It's admin at sirus.com.au, and it's all on the down below in your comment section.
I will get our tech guys to forward that email to me once I have it, and just give me all the details and I'll reply to you.
Thank you. I've got another question from Paola Cardero. If you work during your time with a student visa, can that experience count in order to gain points to apply for a 189 visa? Do you answer? Or
Yeah, so they require, so for the 189, and I
That's
just want to say,
semi-skilled.
it's
semi-skilled. It'll be semi-skilled then.
yeah, so your work experience for 189 and is full-time work experience. So you need to prove that you've had full-time work experience and not part-time work experience. And what is considered
And skilled
I
experience.
think there is some discretion that they can look at that.
Okay, and what's considered as full-time work experience is 35 hours. Are there
38.
any discretions?
I think there is discretion in terms of the part-time work or the casual work, but that's discretionary. So if it's in a particular area, that's important not to the. To the
So
student.
maybe you're saying maybe depends on what skill and what area
Yeah.
it is. Okay. Okay. Maybe she can send us an email and just give us a bit
follow
more
up
detail
and
about the
give
skill,
more specific
and
information.
maybe Willem and I will just give us some more specific information.
Got a really good, really broad question from I'm in YouTube now, from Mr. Abu Sandeep. Yes, he's going to love this. Myself and my wife got 80 points total. Can I expect an invitation? What category?
So it depends
so it's just
on the category. It depends on the visa that you want to apply for, and it depends on the state. So let me just answer also broadly again. If you talk in 189, then forget about 80 points. I told you 100 points in that, and don't even waste your time. I think, in my opinion, with the 189 right now, if you're looking for PR at this time, it could change at a later stage. So if you're talking 190, then 80 points I'm not too comfortable
491
with.
maybe.
I think 491, because Queensland would tell you that 80 points is fine for 190
Yeah.
and 65 points is fine for 491. The state of New South Wales will tell you that for 190 you need 90 points.
Yeah.
Okay, and they prefer candidates with 90 points and above. So I'd say generally 90 points is, we just take it on the highest threshold, which is the most difficult state maybe to get into for 190, which is New South Wales.
Yeah.
90 points is kind of the threshold. So it depends on the state, but I'll say with 80 points, rather look at the 491. What do you think,
Yeah.
Willem?
Yeah,
You agree?
491, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's a good answer, good question as well. And also with 80 points, don't forget Queensland 491, small business operator, small business owner. I forgot to mention something with this $100,000 frequently asked question. $100,000. Do you have to mention where the money come from, and do I have to have that money? Can I borrow that money? My experience so far, you don't have to show where the money came from, as in have you borrowed it, or is your family, did your family sponsor it, as long as you purchase it. I don't know, as international, as a migrant, if you are able to borrow money from the bank. Depends on your backgrounds again.
But look, it's not uncommon to borrow money for a business from a bank.
Yeah.
It's a
It'll be
logical approach to sometimes, if you.
I think
don't
just
have
one
that.
thing, I was just dealing with something, yesterday I just dealt with a client, and remember I mentioned this to you, Willem. I was dealing with a client, and that, in the sense that the client wanted to purchase a business, spend 100,000 in order to gain a 491 visa, small business owners, but the client was still on a student visa. Okay, so please note that if you're still on a student visa, they will not go and spend 100,000, because you need to have full-time work rights, so which is 35 hours a week. Okay, and be able to spend that in the business at 35 hours a week. So if you're on a student visa, you cannot purchase business and go the 491 route in a regional area. However, if you move from a student visa onto a 485 visa, then you can definitely get your skill assessment, get a full skills assessment, and then in your skill, and then like if you said, it doesn't need to be the if your skills are IT You can get the skill assessment and you can buy a restaurant. You know, it's not necessary to have
Not that
to
we
buy a
encourage,
business in your
yeah.
skill,
Just
but
an
you
example.
need full-time work rights. I just want to mention
Yeah.
that because I've seemed to be getting that quite a lot.
And also, sometimes when we speak to some of our student clients, we are learning to understand that some clients, they'll come and say, I'm finishing my course, I'm about to apply for 485. I would always like to remind 485 cannot be a paradigm. Please don't treat, because everyone else is applying for a 485, don't go and apply just for a 485. It's a one good opportunity that Australian federal government has given you. It, maybe a token of appreciation for studying in Australia and being skillful in Australia. It's an opportunity for you to prove that you're skillful enough to get into permanent residency. So you have to have a proper permanent residency plan, proper permanent residency pathway before you use that 485. So if you're a student, if you're looking into apply for 485, permanent residency pathway designed or advised by a proper migration agent would be a very, very good idea.
Can I just say something? I'm so glad
Certainly.
you mentioned this topic,
Yeah.
Isuru, because it breaks my heart, and you know, we get it all the time. We just had Willem and I just dealt with a client now, and people use up their 485, so they're still on a student visa, and when they could maybe they're on a bachelor's, they could do a master's, and that master's gives you full-time work rights. So that's the beauty about the masters, you know. You can do your masters, and if you got the time, you can get work experience, you know. But people use up their 485s, and once you use up your 485, you cannot go back. You cannot get a 485 again. And so 485 gives you the full-time work rights, and once you use it up, and you didn't apply for PR, you didn't apply for 190 or 491 visa, then you're going back onto a student visa maybe to stay in Australia, but then your work rights drop to 20 hours a week or 40 hours a fortnight. And then you're going to struggle, you're going to have a problem in finding, in applying for a 190 or 491 visa. In fact, in states like Queensland and New South Wales and Victoria, you won't be able to apply because you need full-time work rights when you apply. And then we have to start talking about Western Australia, maybe South Australia, because you can get your work experience on 20 hours. And it's so important that when you go on a 485, the problem is that it's not that people waste it because they intentionally want to waste it, it's because they can't find a job. So being a state, when you go on a 485, that you can find a job, go and seek and do some research. It's no use being in IT or something and a good skill like IT in the tech sector, and you can't find a job in the state that you're in, because then you're not going to have that work experience that you need for the 190 or the 491.
And you know, I think it's important also to note, you'll see that there's no guarantee if you have finished or you're about to finish your 485 visa that you go back on the student visa.
Yeah.
Because it might be
Good
seen
point.
to, you know, using the system to remain in Australia.
Yeah.
And then you might not be able to meet the GTI, the general entry requirement.
Yeah.
And then your visa will be refused.
Excellent point.
So you come almost to a dead end if you do that. So yeah, good points in terms of
Surplus 500.
use it as a last resort, you know.
Yeah. So I think our time's running out, but I've got a question from one last question from YouTube, Buddhika Balasuri. So according to Buddhika, thank you for joining us, Buddhika. His wife is a government teacher for more than 5 years. Now, I guess in Sri Lanka, I'm not sure. But anyway, thank you. You being a teacher in government, you've done a great service. She did postgraduate diploma in education in University of Colombo. My wife would like to study either master or PhD in teaching or education. So after 2 years of post-study in Sri Lanka, in Australia, can she claim 5+ years of teaching experience which she had in Sri Lanka? 5+ years that she has studied in Sri Lanka after the bachelor's degree, yes, she can claim it as offshore points. That's a good question.
Mm.
Yes, the answer is short, yes. I think we wrap it up, or would you?
Just there's one more question.
Okay. I'm from Sri Lanka. Hello, how are you? Praveen Udaru Ranasinghe. I'm from Sri Lanka. I work at a 5-star hotel in Colombo as a chef. Do you have any program for me to migrate?
Lots of programs.
Yeah, and
Lots of visa categories.
Did he mention he's a chef?
Sure.
As a chef.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's actually we've been approached by there are a few vacancies stand right now from for restaurants. They're asking us if we can help to find clients for the position of chefs in certain areas. But being in offshore, there's a little problem because you can't travel, and when they have a vacancy comes by, most of the employers, they can't wait another 6-7 or unpredictable time. There will be a lot of programs available if you're a good chef, but in a short answer, you cannot. And just revamping, one of the clients actually reminded me, one of my clients looking for a chef with Indian or Sri Lankan cooking experience to start immediately in Gold Coast.
This is one of your restaurants.
No, I wish if I had a restaurant. Putting me in spot. Thank you very much. So, reminding me, I was expecting to talk to you about 188 business visas a bit today. We've seen a lot of our clients getting in, not invitations we've been getting quite fast, but there's been further information requests and new grants. So we've seen a good traction with 188 visas, 188A and 188B. If you are a businessman or if you have business experience within last 5 years, if you've turning over 500,000, actually coming back to this point, if you had a business in Australia within last 5 years, you don't have to have it overseas. You can use that, because one of my clients in a different business, that while they were maintaining other visa, they had a cleaning business turning over a few $1 million, and they didn't even realize that they were eligible to apply for business visa. So business visas wide needs a lot of business knowledge and also accounts knowledge, and we've been very successful, and we are very proud that we've been able to help our business clients to explore the categories. So if you have any inquiries, or if you have business onshore or offshore looking to expand and do it in a proper structure and get visas to expand your business and create more job opportunities in Australia for Australians, and also be successful in your business category, please remember to send us an email, be in touch, admin@sirus.com.au. We will post this video right after. I just have to re-mention this again to our YouTube clients. We've got many questions again in YouTube. We may not be able to answer all these questions during this time, so please, we will be reposting this video in YouTube in a minute. As soon as we post this video back in YouTube, please resend your question and we will answer it. We will type the answer in the comment section so everyone can see it. And thank you very much for joining this wonderful session again. Tomorrow is Chinese New Year. Not sure how to say a Happy New Year in Chinese. We should ask Elliot or Chrissy. But and also tomorrow's Valentine's Day. Don't forget to buy your spouse. Tomorrow is not
Sunday.
Isn't tomorrow 14th?
Jumping.
Oh, sorry. Sunday.
These are both flowers.
But we'll take the chocolates anyway.
Anyway, I thought this is going to bring us some dinner and lunch for Valentine's. But anyway.
Sunday.
Yeah. So happy Valentine's on Sunday. We've got some specials going on for Valentine's Day for spouse visa or partner visa, or if you're in a de facto relationship looking into partner visa. And also, if your partner is overseas, when the border is open, don't forget the prospective marriage visa, which allows your partner to come here and then get married. So, be in touch if you need some more information. Either way, have a safe weekend coming ahead, and happy Chinese New Year, happy Valentine's Day. Have a good stay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.